You know, Shaq is the most physically gifted 7-foot guy that I'd ever seen in my life. And this guy is like 4 inches taller, and he's athletic. It can shoot threes. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, this dude be doing crossovers and taking the ball between his legs. For a big guy to be able to do that, Ernie, like, it's like point guard skills. Like I say, we've seen big guys. We've never seen a big guy that big. That athletic, but it's unbelievable.
But the problem with the Spurs, when they play against Kareem and the Joker, they're gonna occupy Wemby. And then their team gets really, really small when he has to stay out of the paint. So that's different, but they got a really, really bright future.
There was a time when people thought Charles Barkley doubted Victor Wembanyama's talent. But after all the hype that surrounded Wemby before he had played in the NBA, people forgot how dangerous impossible expectations can become. Now, while everybody is busy discussing Wemby's talents and his ceiling, we're beginning to see him carry on more responsibilities for the Spurs in the playoffs. And it's starting to look like Chuck was totally right about Victor Wembanyama, but no one wants to listen. So, let's get into his actual message. Before Victor Wembanyama ever stepped onto an NBA floor, he was already being discussed like a basketball myth. Highlight clips from France spread across social media. One play, he was blocking jump shots and he looked physically impossible to reach. The next possession, he was bringing the ball up the court like a point guard. And before people even had time to process that image, he was hitting step-back threes over defenders who looked completely helpless. And so people weren't talking about Wembanyama like a prospect anymore. They were talking about him like basketball itself had evolved into something new. If there could ever be a hype train bigger than LeBron's, it's Wemby's. And in the midst of all that, Charles Barkley said, and I quote, "I want to see the kid play. I hope he's great because it's great for our job. But I can't sit here now just because he is killing people in the Czech Republic that he's going to come over here and dominate. I just don't believe it." And honestly, the reaction to that quote says a lot about modern basketball culture because people instantly treated Barkley like he was doubting Wembanyama's talent. Here, Chuck wasn't dismissing the skill. If anything, he was reacting like somebody who had lived through enough NBA history to know how dangerous projection can become before reality ever has a chance to breathe, especially for somebody built like Victor Wembanyama. The NBA has seen giant players before, and while none look as talented as Wemby, the problem was never the talent. It was the fact their body usually fails them too early. So Charles Barkley felt odd when he didn't join the hype train of Wemby. And even now, he doesn't shy away from calling him out, especially on shooting threes.
Well, first of all, women shouldn't be taking 8 threes. That's too many threes for a 7'5" guy. You need to go down in the post where they have to double him and use his height to his advantage.
Once in a while, we might even see Chuck taking Shaq's side when the comparisons begin.
His first year was better than Shaq's first year.
Wait, what?
I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go.
There you go, disrespecting Shaq again. I got your back, big.
But once again, Victor Wembanyama is different. At 7'4", Wembanyama should look heavy. After all, some of the greatest giants in basketball history moved as such. Shaq overwhelmed people with force. Yao Ming dominated with touch and size. Kareem floated with elegance. But Wembanyama moves like somebody accidentally stretched a wing player into the body of a skyscraper. And even Charles Barkley sometimes gets blown away.
You know, Shaq is the most physically gifted 7-foot guy that I'd ever seen in my life. And this guy is like 4 inches taller, and he's athletic. It can shoot threes. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, this dude be doing crossovers and taking the ball between his legs. For a big guy to be able to do that, Ernie, like, it's like point guard skills. Like I say, we've seen big guys. We've never seen a big guy that big. that athletic ability. It's unbelievable.
Different era. But I'm just saying close. But Wemby is a
Love you,
anomaly.
Ralph.
He's an anomaly.
Yeah.
He is something different. He is an alien.
But there is this joke from Chuck that hints at something.
Shaq, you know what's weird about Wemby? He's like the only person in San Antonio can't gain weight.
But as funny as it was, Charles was totally right. Because underneath the joke is the fact that Wembanyama's body still feels almost experimental. Like basketball has never quite seen this combination of height, mobility, flexibility, and workload operating together at this level before. And the more impossible his highlights become, the more difficult it becomes to ignore the pressure that kind of body is going to absorb over the next decade. The moment Victor Wembanyama stopped feeling like a normal rookie was probably the exact moment Charles Barkley started becoming nervous again. Because once the highlights turned into actual NBA production, the conversation around Wemby changed almost overnight. Suddenly the league wasn't talking about potential anymore. They were talking about him like he was already becoming one of the defining players of basketball's future. Soon the Spurs themselves started depending on him. Not slowly, not carefully, immediately. Already we've seen him having to become a more vocal leader in the team. When last did we see someone that young and with that body structure have to play the role of vocal leader on the team? Now, Wembanyama has to play with the aggression to lead the Spurs team to do the same, which is why Barkley's concern never disappeared even while his admiration kept growing stronger. He said this, and I quote, "These guys who are that tall, have we ever seen any one of them stay really healthy for like 10 years of excellence? I mean, it's such a freak of nature to be that tall, and I love that kid. I hope he's able to stay healthy." Barkley isn't really talking about isolated injuries there. He's talking about history. Basketball history. The kind that quietly follows giant players no matter how talented they become. Because the modern NBA demands an exhausting amount from its stars. Big men aren't allowed to simply dominate near the basket anymore. They have to switch defensively onto guards, recover out to shooters, protect the rim, run the floor, handle the ball in transition, space the court offensively, survive 82 games, survive playoff intensity, survive social media expectations, survive the pressure of becoming the face of an entire franchise before they're even old enough to fully grow into their bodies. And now imagine all of that pressure placed onto somebody who is 7'4". The fear is not that Wembanyama would fail, it's that his body might fail under these ever-increasing burdens. From having to be the best rookie, to being the face of the league, to having to be available for the Spurs, and now to being the vocal leader. And there's more coming. Chuck went even further when he said, "I know at the end he didn't have a lot left, but he had a 10 to 15 year run where he could outrun everybody. He could outjump everybody. But man, I hope Victor can stay healthy." That's a terrifying workload for Wemby's body, and no one wants to listen. And the irony is, the more incredible Wembanyama becomes, the more pressure the basketball world places onto him. Every unbelievable performance increases expectations. Every viral highlight becomes another reason people expect him to save possessions, save defenses, save games, maybe even save the future of the Spurs themselves. Victor Wembanyama might genuinely become one of the greatest basketball players the world has ever seen. And that possibility is exactly what makes his long-term health feel so terrifying. Because once a player becomes this important to the future of basketball, the pressure stops being normal. Now every game becomes part of a larger conversation. Every injury scare becomes national news. Every losing streak becomes a referendum. Every highlight increases the mythology. And maybe that's why Barkley's perspective matters so much now. Because what we're seeing happen to Wemby is this. When a player starts looking this special, people stop asking what's fair to expect from them physically. They just keep asking for more. But do you think people are asking for too much from him? And if you want to hear NBA players speak on Victor, watch how NBA players really feel about Victor Wembanyama next.